So let's start talking about like team building. Like, so eventually you went from a solopreneur, meaning you doing everything, to hiring your first person. Who was your first hire, and then how has the team expanded in LA, and then we'll get into the transition to Hawaii as well too.
Yeah. So I first started with administrative help because that's the part of the business I hate and that I'm not good at. So I hired a virtual assistant, a general virtual assistant in Mexico. He worked for me for close to a year. The second person that I worked with was kind of like an operations. I don't know if you read that book, Attraction or Rocket Fuel, but I was trying to kind of figure my integrator out, right? My COO, because I did want. I mean, my goal was always to build a seven-figure and multiple seven-figure real estate investing business. Like some people just want to be investors. Like I'm building a business. That was my intention for the beginning. So I want to be kind of clear there, where it was not because I could have, with the skills I learned and the money I had saved, I could just like flip, house a quarter, just live in Mexico, whatever, just do whatever I want to do, But that's not what I mean. Then I'll get bored. So I was like, okay, I'm going to build a business. So I hired those couple people. Then I brought in like an acquisitions manager and then a part-time telemarketer. Though they lasted me like 6 to 8 months at the beginning, but they weren't really A players. And I didn't know that yet because I didn't really have high standards at the beginning because I was just whoever, was like a relatively good fit. I'm just kind of bootstrapping, right? I'm just kind of starting out. So that I didn't get the results I wanted, and I spent a lot of money on marketing and other things that didn't work, but it's because I just had like a team that wasn't really dedicated, wasn't committed. And then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And then I had to kind of make some cuts and make some sacrifices. But I mean, these people weren't A players, so it was easier for me to make the cuts because it was like, hey, you guys are not performing that well anyway. And now this, who knows what's going to happen. But then the deals that I got during that time did really, really well. And then I just started thinking again and again, like, what am I going to do? And that's around the time that Brandon Turner reached out to me. It was like, hey, I'd like to scale up my flipping business a little bit more so I can have more capital for my my mobile home park acquisitions and my payroll and all that. Why don't you consider moving over to Hawaii and let's do some deals? He pretty much kind of made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And around that time, that's when I started thinking about it. And that's when I decided to sell my primary residence because I had owned it already for like 18 months and I was able to sell it tax-free and had $105,000 profit on that deal. Plus I had $100,000 of my money in there. So it was just like a significant amount of money that I needed to take out. So I got more liquid. And so I sold that property. And then, we had a couple conversations about it. And then one thing led to another. And so I decided to move to Hawaii kind of because of that, transition. And that's when I started really ramping up like A player teams. And then I was able to attract people. And then I did a bunch of hires at the end of last year and through the beginning of this year that really turned out well because I raised my standards. And then I also just had more clarity on what I want.
So basically you went from flipping houses in LA to still flipping houses in LA. You have A players helping you manage the flips in LA, but you live in Hawaii now, basically, right?
Yep. Crazy. In 4 years.